Don't fall into the belly of the beast. That's not a Thailand thing. Number 4 on the list is, I got a list for you of 5 things that you should not do after you move to Thailand. I spend a lot of time on this channel and on my main YouTube channel talking about all the amazing things to do after you move to Thailand. So I thought it'd be fun to make a video listing off things that you definitely should not do when you move here, and some traps that people fall into when they do. And when we get to number 5, I think you might have a chuckle with me about that one. My name is Chris Parker. This channel's RW4U, stands for Retired Working For You. And I'm here to share as much information as I can to make your dream of moving here to Thailand a reality. So let's get into the list. Number 1 on the list of things to not do after you move to Thailand is don't overstay your visa. It may seem like a trivial thing, but it could result in some bad things happening. Now, it usually wouldn't. So no matter what visa you're on, it obviously has an expiration date. You do not want to stay past that, whether you're on a tourist visa or whether you're on an education visa, retirement visa, a work visa, a smart visa. No matter what your visa is, set a reminder in your calendar so that you will not forget about it and find yourself in the Netherlands of being an overstay visa person here on the ground in Thailand. Even when you're on a 1-year permit, they want you to do what's called a 90-day report. So both Haley, my wife, and I have visas that renew once a year. But every 90 days, we have to either go to immigration to file a report, but now you can do that online, thank God, because you used to have to go into immigration to do a 90-day report. I find the whole 90-day report thing a little ridiculous and unfortunate, but it is what it is. If you do overstay a 90-day report, it's usually not the end of the world. Quite honestly, there's usually a fine of, I think, 2,000 baht that they might even just ding you for at the airport on your way out, or if you do go ahead and file late, there'd be a fine to pay. If you overstay your actual visa, that's more where some trouble can happen. And again, usually it wouldn't. It would be a minor thing that you have to rectify, pay a small fine, and get back on track with your visa. But there are some horror stories of people that get caught up on visa overstays, and if it's the wrong place at the wrong time, that's what you want to avoid, even the possibility of finding yourself in that situation. There was one crazy story where I think it was an American guy got caught overstaying his visa. I think he overstayed his visa by less than a year. Okay, shouldn't have been doing that, but they caught him at a time when they were on a run of trying to crack down on that. And you'll notice that in Thailand. They'll go on runs of crackdowns on certain things. And if you're caught in that crossfire, then it could result in the worst case scenario, which for this guy was getting put in jail, the Bangkok Hilton, as it's lovingly known, which is not a place that you want to end up. This guy ended up spending, I think, 3 months in jail just while he was working his way out of a simple visa overstay. The stories that he told from that were pretty remarkable and not super fun. So it's best to just adhere to the visa rules. Make sure if you plan to set up your camp and live here in Thailand, that taking care of your visa is always a top priority, and you don't leave it till the last minute, and you definitely don't overstay your visa. And number 2 is don't be cheap with the Thais. So I've seen a lot of foreigners who are overly cheap with the Thais here, and it just seems to make for a less happy existence. Now, I'm not saying that when you go out to a Thai market here, you shouldn't haggle over the price. You shouldn't haggle with a tuk-tuk driver or a taxi driver over the prices of stuff. Like, do it in good fun and with a positive kind of vibe and mentality behind it. Don't fall victim and become one of the people who are thinking that the Thais are out to rip you off every time you interact with them, and you kind of angrily start to haggle with them. That's what I mean when I say don't be cheap. And that's with all walks of life. It's amazing how much better your life is when you live in Thailand and you have a mindset more of generosity than kind of like guarded with the Thais and interactions when you're dealing with the Thais and with money. General rules of thumb for me. Yeah, do I want a taxi driver to use his meter? Damn right I do. I wish they would all use their meter, but they don't. My general rule of thumb is if I'm going somewhere and it's a 20-minute taxi ride, the guy's asked for 300 baht, I'll ask him to use the meter. If it's at prime time, they're going to say no half the time. And if I could get him down to 200 baht, we have a deal. And my mindset is no longer that of I'm bitter that he's not using the meter. It's like, okay, my friend, we got 200 baht, let's go. Have a little fun conversation with him the rest of the ride. It's the same thing when it comes to tipping. Do you have to tip here? No. And I'm not even saying that you should, or you should feel bad if you don't tip here. Places that charge a 10% service fee on the bill, they definitely don't get any tip from me. It's built in. It's a 10% service fee. Places that don't, I'll usually leave a little tip. My Food Panda driver comes by, my Grab delivery comes by, I'll leave a small tip. And I'm not talking about being Mr. Flash with all the money and showering everyone you interact with money. I'm just saying that if you were to budget even 50 baht a day, where you would find yourself in a situation where you would either be haggling for that extra amount, be waiting for that extra taxi, all in a state of frustration. 50 baht a day, that's $2. Less than, that's $1.50. It most likely means so much less to you than it does to the Thai person that you're interacting with. And more than that, if you want to even think about it selfishly, like I said, your life over here will be so much better if you just go into these interactions with a little air of, you know what, I'm gonna take the path of, I might tip even though I don't have to. I might pay a little bit extra for that, even though I know that that's a bit of a ripoff, but here you go. Life over here, they're good. Like, you just get treated so great. And for me, it's worth every penny. And the last thing I'll say on this one is the whole dual pricing. If you go to national parks here, some temples, anything with an entrance fee, oftentimes they have what's called dual pricing, which is one price for foreigners, one price for Thais. And this makes a lot of the expats irate that it's like 200 baht to get into this national park. But for a Thai, it's 50 baht. How dare you charge me 4 times as much as the local Thai? All that sort of stuff, just let it go. Think of the big picture. You're living in a place that most likely is providing you great value for your money on a day in and day out basis. So don't focus and nitpick in on the instances where, okay, maybe this one's not in my favor, it's in their favor. Just let it go. Water off your back, and your life here will be so much more enjoyable. And that leads me perfectly to number 3. Don't focus on the negative side of Thailand. So Thailand, like everywhere, has 2 sides, the positive and the negative. I get a lot of comments. I have for years, ever since I started my main channel. You only tell the positive side of the story, Chris. There's 2 sides to that story. There's a whole negative side. It's like, I know that there's a negative side to almost every story. That's why, like, you got Luke Skywalker, but you also got Darth Vader. You know, yin and yang, like negative and positive exists everywhere. That's not a Thailand thing. That's an everywhere thing. That's an everything thing. The glass is either half full or the glass is half empty. And when you come to Thailand, don't focus on the glass being half empty. There's generally two camps of expats who live here. One camp that focuses on the negative. And if you sit with them, they talk about, oh, this is stupid and that's stupid, and why does the government do this and they shouldn't do that, and aren't they stupid for doing this? And it's tiring, and it's like if you really don't like it here, like I genuinely wish for those people to go find somewhere in the world to live that they actually like. But I don't believe that that is the solution, because I just think that it's a choice to focus on the positive or to focus on the negative. And I implore you to focus on the positive. I rarely end up encountering that camp of expats. When I'm out with friends of mine all over Thailand, when the conversation turns to Thailand, it's all about, man, don't you just love this about Thailand? And aren't we lucky to be able to call Thailand home? And it's more like, let's hope that this never changes. Like, don't change. If there's one thing that scares me, is the thought that this could change, because I just love all the positive things about life in Thailand so much that I remind myself constantly to not take it for granted. And I just hope that it doesn't go changing. So when you move here, keep that in mind. And you're going to obviously encounter negative things. Just focus on the positive things. And there's just an amazing group of people that I was out with last week that reminded me of that. There was about 30 of us. I have a members program, the RW4U Members program. I'll leave a link. It's like a Thai social club. And we had a meet up last week at this super cool rooftop bar. Some of the people, it was their first time meeting this group. And they were like, man, I've never been around a group of people that were so positive, friendly, open. And that's what that group's all about. So thank you to all the RW4U members out there for getting that number 3 on the list of don't do's is to not focus on the negative side of Thailand. Number 4 on the list is don't let small obstacles prevent you from living the life that you want to live. And by that, I mean that Thailand will present challenges. I call them curveballs. You've heard me say it before. You're going to get served up some curveballs. And I've seen some people who take a curveball as a reason to just completely change course and divert their path from going towards their dream destination to some unknown destination because they feel like a small obstacle has forced them onto a completely new path. The most recent example of this is this new Thai tax law. It's not a new Thai tax law, but it's a reinterpretation, a new interpretation of an existing Thai tax law, and it's all about foreign-sourced income. When you repatriate that and bring it back into Thailand, there used to be an easy way to get that in tax-free. And now the waters are murky. The decision and the interpretation, it's still unclear, so I'm not going to go into that. I've done 3 full videos about that. The point I wanted to bring up here is that a lot of people have commented, like tons. A lot of people have commented and said, that's it. There goes my dream of retiring in Thailand. Like, I'm changing my mind now. That could be a pretty big curveball for some people. I get it. But there's a million little things like that in Thailand. I've heard other people say, I can't move there because I'm not 50 and I can't get a retirement visa. Well, I know all kinds of people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who moved here, lived here, and have fashioned a solution to the visa problem. One of the best things about Thailand is solutions are there. You can find solutions for almost every problem that you encounter. It's an awesome thing about living here. You might be moving here for the first time. You might get here And once you're living here, you're going to get a couple of these obstacles appear in your path. Just go in with the mindset to not let that obstacle deter you from where you're going. You're going to Shangri-La, and I'm not talking about the hotel down on the river. I'm talking about the destination of Thailand as your base camp for the long term. Don't let the obstacles deter you from that. Have some fun with it. Sort them out. Figure out these little problems along the way. And, you know, the fruit at the end of that path will taste so much sweeter if you're willing to kind of navigate through and make your way to where you want to go. Don't let this new interpretation of a tax law completely derail your dream of moving to Thailand. To me, that'd be nuts. That would be nuts. It's a problem that has a solution that's individual to you, and there is a solution to it. That much I can tell you. And number 5 on the list, I just call this one, don't fall into the belly of the beast. There's a lot of people here that fall victim to the temptation that's constantly here. And I just want to give you a little pep talk to say, don't fall into that trap. Am I telling you to not have fun? Am I telling you to not live your best life? Hell no. I'm not here to judge what anybody else does with their free time as an adult. I encourage you to live your best life. I just think that there's a fine line between your best life in your mind turning into, you know, just a bit of a day in, day out. All you see is red light districts. Maybe you let your health go. Maybe you drink more than you should, and some really good, positive, healthy things, one by one, fall by the wayside out of your life. Maybe you used to exercise, go for walks in the park in the morning, and then 6 months after moving here, you find yourself every morning waking up with a hangover. And then the only way to combat it has now become the hair of the dog routine. And so you're back at it again, and you fall into this trap, the belly of the beast, I call it. It could be a vicious cycle that probably isn't what you envisioned, but you know, we're all weak. We're all weak humans, so the risk is certainly there. So when you're moving to Thailand, keep that in your mindset. Have your mindset be strong that living in Thailand comes with a whole whack of fun, but it's going to be that much more enjoyable if you work in some healthy aspects to your lifestyle. Find a great place for that morning walk. There's going to be a good park somewhere near you for a morning walk. There's going to be a mountain to climb, a trail to hike, an ocean to swim in, or a beach to walk a lap in every morning. I know a guy in Samui who's in his late 70s now. Shout out to you, Petey. And this guy is the epitome of what I'm talking about. He lives hard, plays hard, and takes care of himself. This guy would go for a walk up and down Chongmun Beach in Koh Samui every day. And this is a guy in his 70s. And then in the afternoon, yeah, he'd have a couple of beers. But this is a guy who knew how to find the balance in a life in Thailand that I think is the most rewarding. So I just wanted to put that as number 5, because I hope you move here and I hope you find that balance too. So drop a comment if you have a question about moving to Thailand. I'm here to help. And if you are interested in learning more about the members program, there's a link here. Check it out. Join. We have meetup every month, it seems, at least one, and that's a great group of people. So cheers, everyone. We'll see you on the next video.